Hey guys, it's Amanda from the Fiction Fairy here, and today is Technicolor Thursdays. And basically what it is Technicolor Thursdays are Thursdays where I talk about a TV show that I'm watching. Usually one that goes kind of along with a book genre, but it can be any random TV show, like The 100, which is a book, is getting ready to come out on the WB, I believe. Starcrossed. It can be Scandal. It can be anything that is in Technicolor on TV. So I just thought it would be fun. So many books are made into shows now, and so many shows really should be made into books because they would be wonderful. So I just decided, I was watching a lot of videos of people who don't do BookTube, but they just do regular YouTube, and they talk about TV shows. I was like, you know what? I like to talk about TV shows that I'm watching and see if other people are watching them too and kind of like how they think about them. So I don't know if I'll always keep Technicolor Thursdays going because it really is based off of if there's any show that I want to talk about. But for all two of you that might want to watch this video, here it is. So today's Technicolor Thursday is going to be about episode 1 of Starcrossed. And I am aware that episode 2 has already come out, but I had to DVR that bad boy, and I have not watched it yet. So we're going to do episode 1 right now. Starcrossed is a show on the WB. It is not based off a book as far as I know, even though it clearly is a title of a lot of books are titled Starcrossed, but Starcrossed the TV show is not a book as far as I know. But it definitely reads like it could have been one. And it basically is about these aliens who crash land here on Earth, and they basically get quarantined by the U.S. government, and they're quarantined for like 10 years. And then after 10 years, the aliens, which they call Atrians, or Atrians, work with the government, and they're trying to integrate the Atrians into human society. So I believe that it is 6 or 8 of the Atrian teens end up going to high school with the human kids. So it's kind of weird because just in the first episode, like just that part right there, I believe it's 6 Atrians. Just that little section right there really parallels the civil rights movement in the South, and when they integrated white schools with the African American kids. So it really rings true to a lot about life. They had the Atrians, getting off the bus, and people standing outside with signs saying, go back to your own planet. My kids shouldn't have to go to school with them. They shouldn't have to be subjected to that, which is exactly what they did in the South when they integrated schools. People thought, my child shouldn't have to go to school in the African American. You should go back to your own country. You should go back to your own town. You should just not be here with my child. So it really paralleled real life. I thought that was kind of interesting, especially for a teen drama and for a teen drama on the WB. So although the WB, especially with like Vampire Diaries and stuff, has gotten a bit more risky, it's dealing with vampires, just like the originals. They're dealing with vampires, so you kind of expect it to be a bit more risque. But with this particular show, you don't necessarily expect a station like the WB to kind of have so many parallels in it to real life, especially sensitive topics like that. And which is kind of ironic that the show premiered in February, which is African American month, so it's fresh in a lot of people's minds because most schools do still teach African American history, so you're learning about the integration, and then this is just so much of a parallel that it's like fresh in your mind, like wow, I can see like if it still happened today, like wow, like that's exactly what it would be like. So it's almost like reliving something. Something we clearly weren't physically there, but feeling like you're living what happened during the times of integration. But Starcrossed starts off, like I said, the alien ship crash lands here on Earth. There's a little boy who runs away from the ship, and he is just like trying to find shelter because the government is coming to look for all of them to round them up. And he finds shelter inside of a garage. This little girl takes him inside of her garage. And, they're 6 years old, so they don't know anything about discrimination or anything like that. And she brings them cold spaghetti and tells him, like, you're not a monster like they said you were, you're nice. And she's trying to keep him a secret so that way he doesn't get hurt. Well, then they span to these smelling dogs that are outside with government officials, and they basically sniff this Atrian out, and they shoot him in the stomach with a blast gun. So the little girl thinks that he died. Her parents bust into the garage, they rip her away from him, and she thinks, oh my God, like, this little boy just died in front of me. So then fast forward 10 years, all the Atrians are rounded up. They've been in their own, they call it a sector. So it's basically like its own little town within a town that the government has based, like a Guantanamo Bay in your town. So if you lived in Houston, Texas, there'd be like a Guantanamo Bay in Houston, and that's where they're housing these Atrians at, in that sector. And the Atrians have been working with the U.S. government and trying to get them integrated with humans, and that's what they come to the conclusion with, that finally 6 of them can integrate with life with the human kids. Now, I never watched Roswell, but a lot of people said this is exactly kind of like how the story with Roswell went, except for the kids in Roswell tried to portray themselves as humans instead of aliens, and that in this show, everybody knows they're aliens because they have these massive tattoos on their faces and on their necks. So people use the derogatory slur tatties towards them instead of Atrians, which again is another complete parallel to the integration of African Americans with whites in school and just regular society. So that's another parallel that the show has with that. But so they call them tatties all the time. People are trying to beat the tatties up. They're giving them a real hard time in school. There's people who could carry their way if they're there. There's people who want them to be there because they're very curious, and there's people who are just dead set against them being there. Like, in no way, shape, or form do they want the Atrian kids to be there or the Atrian people to even be there on Earth anymore. They want them to go back to their own planet. Well, what happens is that the little boy who was in the garage did not die. He is alive, well, and his father is actually the head of the Atrians. And that little girl who helped to try to save him is a girl who has been through a lot of her own personal struggles, and now she's back at school. So, they kind of like lock eyes, and, eventually they realize who each other are. But the thing is when you're 6 and you're blind to the world and the way the world thinks, things are different for you. But when you grow up and you distinctively see how the world thinks, even if you know something's wrong, sometimes your vision is skewed, and it kind of like shows that, like, it doesn't just go immediately back into happy times, like this fantastical reunion. There's a lot that happens between them, and there's a lot that happens with her because of her own personal struggles during the time that they were apart. She has a best friend who's going through a lot of personal struggles, and things just get very complicated very fast. But the male Atrian, whose name is Roman, and the girl who tried to save him, her name is Emery. Well, during the episode, you found out Roman does something really amazing. He really puts himself out there, and he ends up revealing a secret of the Atrians to help Emery out in a really, really, really big way. And it's a way that kind of like changes the tides for them. And it's a way that she really feels like she's never going to be able to repay him back for what he did for her. And it was incredibly sweet. It was such a sweet thing, and it really almost made you want to tear up a little bit because he really put himself out there, and it was just fantastic. It was a really sweet moment. I've liked the show so far because there's no like insta love. Like, Emery is kind of caught between Roman, the Atrian who she tried to help save when she was a child, and this other boy at school who was just a normal human. So she's kind of like stuck in the middle there, but she's not stuck in the middle as in she hasn't committed herself to anybody. She hasn't said she liked anybody. They are just two people who are vying for her attention in two different ways. So there's a lot going on in episode 1. Episode 1 is not one of those start you up episodes. I think that the WB, especially because they cancel every freaking show that they put out there, I think they've realized that in the pilot episode, you have got to get to the freaking point, quick, fast, in a hurry, because people will turn it off and they will not come back. And they really, really get to the point almost a little too fast in episode 1, I would say. I would say there was so much there that I really would have liked them to stretch it out a bit more. But I'm hoping in further episodes they can do like some flashbacks and maybe stretch some things out. But so far it's really good. 2 problems I have with this show. 1, Roman is Liam from 90210 The New Generation. It's not that Liam's not cute. It's not that he's not a good actor. It's just that it's hard. I mean, he was a bad boy on 90210 who then became like a good bad boy. And he kind of has the same sort of character on Starcrossed, but it's just hard to kind of make such an adjustment. Because now he's an alien with tattoos. I don't know, it's just odd. And then one of the Atrian teens that also was with Liam, he was the football player from Secret Life of American Teenager. I don't know if you remember him. He was with the Christian girl, and he dated her and had sex with her, and then he also dated her redheaded friend. I can't think of his name right now. But he gained probably a good freaking 50 pounds of muscle for this show. But it's just weird because he was on The Secret Life of an American Teenager, and he played this, like, Christian football player who was, like, sexually charged all the time and was constantly caught between those crossroads and the girls he was dating. And now he's, like, this, like, badass, get out of my way, I'm an Atrian alien, I'm coming through. So those are my two bugaboos about the show. I don't necessarily know if the actor selection for these characters was something that I would have done, because it's not like you chose like a Tom Cruise and a Brad Pitt. They're not that well known, but they're well known enough to the target audience, which I guess is what they were going for. But I feel like it's too well known for this show. I don't know, because the shows that they were on before were just so completely different. I don't know, it's like taking Damien from Vampire Diaries and putting him in there. It's like, it's not that you don't like him, but it's just hard for you to make the distinction from one to the other. It's just kind of like, and you know, ABC Family is kind of like the WB. I don't even know if they're owned by the same company, but they're kind of like those wholesome to semi-wholesome shows, typically do teenage shows. So it's kind of like they're one and the same. So I don't know. I think I would have chose different actors for it. But for the actors that they did pick and for the writing, it was really good. I really liked the first episode. I do want to watch a second episode. So maybe next Thursday I'll touch on that one. But also, like I said, the 100s is supposed to be coming out. So we'll see about that. There's a couple of other shows. So I just wanted to go ahead and just have a discussion about that. If you guys have watched the first episode of Starcrossed, definitely let me know below what you thought about it. You can do a video of your own to say what you thought about it, because I would like to get like your opinions. Do you think that the show is good? Do you think that it's going to last on the air? I think I'm kind of shaky right now as to whether it is or not. It is definitely written exactly like a book. Like, Starcrossed could have been a book. If I didn't know anybody, I would think that it came from a book. But, you know, let me know what you thought of it, what you think of it, if you think it should stick around, if you think it shouldn't, if you think that the characters that they chose were good, what you thought about the parallels between, you know, America's history with integration between races and the parallels between the integration of the Atrian aliens with the humans in the show. How you thought those parallels worked out, if you thought they were appropriate, if you thought they were inappropriate, if you thought they should have touched more on it. Just let me know all your thoughts below. So, like I said, next Thursday I'll touch on something else, and as long as there's a show around that I want to talk about, I'll keep doing it, and if there's not, then I won't. I'll move on to something else. But just let me know below what you guys thought about it, what you guys think about it, and thank you so super much for coming by The Fiction Fairy, guys.